Hello and welcome to Non-Toxic Nerd, home of movies, TV, comics, and games. Well folks, we've made it to the final episode of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Episode 6, One World, One People. As always, this breakdown will be spoiler heavy, so if you haven't already, go watch the latest episode and then come back. If you have already seen it or you just don't care, then let's get started. So I want to start by saying that I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. I really thought it tied everything up well, enough to integrate into the greater MCU. But it is basically just one extended fight scene for the most part, so there's not a whole lot to break down. So I will hit on some of the points that you might find interesting. We do pick up this episode where we left off last week with the Flag Smashers shutting down the GRC vote to repatriate all the displaced people. Sharon shows up wearing a hologram mask like we saw Black Widow wearing Captain America the Winter Soldier. In the building, a Flag Smasher throws a smoke grenade, causing the council members to panic, and he starts to confront them, and this is when we get a nice reveal of Sam's new suit as he throws the shield through a window to knock out the terrorist. It's very accurate to the comics when Sam became Captain America. I kind of thought it looked a little off my first watch through, but by my second viewing I'd gotten used to it. I think it's something about the padding that just makes it look a little bulky, and there is a lot of white, which you usually don't see on superhero costumes. But overall, it's very comic accurate. You end up liking it. The wings look huge. And I don't know if that's just me or if they are actually bigger than his last set of wings. And it's not really made clear if the suit enhances him at all. He does say later on in the episode that he doesn't have any serum, so I'm assuming it doesn't power him up at all. It's just a cool looking suit with the wings back on. We get another reference to Cap on the moon when a security officer asks Sam who he is, and he answers that he's Captain America. The security guy says that he thought Cap was on the moon, which reminds me that we still don't know where Steve Rogers is, and don't hold your breath because we won't find out in this episode. We then start a showdown between Sam and Batroc, whose only reason for wanting to kill Sam is because he lost him a lot of money. Doesn't really seem to rise to the murderous revenge standard. Maybe just break his legs and take his suit, but I guess that's why he's the bad guy. Anyway, we cut back to Sharon and Bucky tracking down the council, which is unwittingly being kidnapped by a Flag Smasher posed as armed security. Carly gets Bucky on the phone via another Flag Smasher undercover and tries to convince him to either stop pursuing her or switch sides. But it really doesn't matter in the end because she's really just distracting him long enough for the council to load up in the armored cars. And the disguised Flag Smasher puts some high-tech locks on. Sharon eliminates this one by gassing him and melting his face off. It's kind of one of the more gruesome, actually probably the most gruesome scene in this episode. We see another council member being escorted to the roof to escape via helicopter. Sam wraps up his fight with Batroc and pursues. We get to see Red Wing again as he scans the occupants for anyone with flight training, which just happens to be the council member. We cut back to Carly, who's with 3 other Flag Smashers, and she seems to be losing her team as she becomes more willing to kill anyone who gets in her way. You kind of see them, they're not quite sure they want to go along with their plan. When she starts the team motto, the one world, they're supposed to answer one people, and all 3 of them hesitate. She has to repeat herself. So I think it's really because she's increasingly allowing more people to die who get in her way, who aren't necessarily guilty in their eyes of anything. Anyways, back in the sky, Sam has to rescue some police from a helicopter after the one he's pursuing plays chicken with it. This sends the police chopper spinning out of control. And after he lands on the bridge below, we see the chopper bounce off his wings as he protects himself and the cop by creating a shield over himself. So maybe they're made of vibranium. He got them from Wakanda, so I have to assume that there's something cool about him other than a new paint job. Bucky catches up with the trucks. The rest of the council is being transported in, and the Flag Smashers set them on fire, or at least one of them on fire. As Bucky tries to break the locks off and the Flag Smashers try to leave, John Walker enters the scene with his self-forged shield, calling out Carly. She tries to de-escalate by saying she didn't mean to kill Lamar because she doesn't want to kill anyone who doesn't matter, which a really poor effort at de-escalation. You already know that he's pissed, so you can't use that phrasing, and this understandably and predictably pisses Walker off. But instead of backtracking and trying to explain, she kind of doubles down on it that he didn't matter to her fight, just she only wants the council members. So of course a fight breaks out. Meanwhile, Buck is able to disable the lock on the truck on fire, and he jumps into the fray to assist Walker. This is a really cool scene where we just have a bunch of super soldiers beating the crap out of each other, and we even get to see a superhero landing when Bucky is knocked into a construction pit. Back in the sky, Sam is able to communicate with the council member in the helicopter through her earbuds, and they orchestrate a plan for him to take out the Flag Smasher pilot and get her in control of the chopper. Sam drops the pilot down in the river, and we cut back to Walker doing a number on the Flag Smashers he's left with. It comes down to him and Carly, who is able to get away and steal the remaining truck. She bails and leaves it running towards the edge of the pit where Bucky has just taken down another Flag Smasher. We see Walker have to make the hard choice of pursuing Carly and getting his revenge or saving the council members in the truck. But as he starts pulling the truck back, he's attacked by 2 more Flag Smashers and they tumble down into the pit. This allows Sam to be able to swoop in and save the truck. He takes out the Flag Smashers in the pit with Buck and Walker and confronts Carly. She is genuinely upset that he is wearing the Stars and Stripes, and she runs off with her compatriots via smoke grenades from Batroc. Sam, Buck, and Walker pursue with Sharon catching up to Carly, where we get a confrontation between them that confirms that Sharon is the power broker. We find out that Carly betrayed Sharon and ran off because Sharon wanted power, not to help people like Carly did. Batroc shows up and he learns this information for the first time and attempts to extort Sharon, and she just shoots him and Carly shoots her. Sam is able to catch up and prevent Carly from killing Sharon. Sam is still adamant about helping Carly, so as she tries to fight him, Sam takes a defensive approach. I found a wasted opportunity here when Carly knocks him down and she tells him to stay down. He stands up and says no, but what he should have said was, "I can do this all day," which of course is basically Steve Rogers' catchphrase, and I think that would have been so cool, but they didn't ask me to write this. Anyway, we catch up to the other Flag Smashers who are following their app to find out where the rendezvous point is, but they end up running into Bucky and Walker and a legion of armed SWAT officers who take them into custody. Apparently anybody can get on that app. Maybe they stole Carly's phone or something, but so they were able to head them off and they were taken into custody. We cut back to Carly trying to get Sam to fight her, and she ends up with a gun, but before she can fire at Sam, she's gunned down by a wounded Sharon. Sam carries out Carly and flies down to an ambulance where the council is grouped up and reporters have arrived. The council thanks Sam, but confirms they are moving forward with their repatriation plans. Sam lectures them on their privilege and how they should be using their power to help those who need it, instead of forcibly stripping people of whatever stability they were able to find since the blip. After the speech, there seems to be some mutual respect between Sam and Walker as they exchange nods, and Bucky refers to Sam as Cap when he's telling him he did a good job. Sharon refuses medical aid and apologizes for killing Carly, probably disingenuously, as Carly was the only person who knew she was the power broker and she gets to keep that secret. But Sam says he remembers his promise to get her a pardon. Buck and Sharon head off as the Cap on the Moon theory security guy from earlier approaches Sam with info on the Flag Smasher that Sam dropped into the river, and Sam flies off to go get him. We get a cool scene of him flying through the New York skyline. We then cut to the apprehended Flag Smashers being loaded into a transport headed to the Raft. Of course, that's the big super villain prison in the middle of the ocean somewhere. A guard says their motto, "One world, one people," as he closes the door, indicating maybe a breakout, but the truck doesn't get maybe 50 feet before it explodes. We pan out to see Zemo's butler watching from a distance, stowing a detonator. We then cut to the Raft where Zemo hears the news on a radio and he smiles, and so we're still having Zemo around. He's still involved in things and getting rid of super soldiers wherever he can. Our next scene is in the hearing room where Walker was stripped of his Captain America mantle, and the Contessa is seeing the news on her phone. Her and Walker's wife are waiting for Walker to enter as he tries on his new suit, which is a mostly comic-accurate U.S. agent black suit. The Contessa says that when things start to get weird, they won't need a Captain America, but they will need a U.S. agent, confirming that John Walker will be U.S. agent in the MCU going forward. This was a cool reveal for me. I'm really excited to see this. Cool black suit. It's basically the same as his previous Captain America suit, just all the blue parts are black. There's no silver, there's no shiny stuff, so it's more of a stealth suit. Very, very similar to the comics. Next, we meet up with Bucky at the door to Yori Nakajima's apartment. He knocks on the door and Yori lets him in, and here we see Bucky taking Sam's advice and actually making some amends. This is where he tells him about Yori's son's death at his hands as the Winter Soldier. We also see Bucky's therapist get a gift from Bucky, which is his list with all the names crossed out. There is a little scene after this where Bucky goes to the restaurant where him and Yori used to hang out together. He sees him in there. He doesn't go in, but he does make eye contact with the waitress he had a date with in the first episode. They smile at each other, but he decides to go off. So maybe sounds like he's either giving the friendship a break, or maybe they're not friends anymore, which would be understandable. But it is good to see that issue, that part of his story has been resolved. We then see Sam paying a visit to Isaiah Bradley, where we find out that the GRC is delaying their repatriation efforts, probably thanks to Sam giving them a lecture. Isaiah seems to support Sam's decision to become Captain America, despite his own beliefs on the matter. Sam then takes Isaiah and his grandson to the Captain America exhibit at the Smithsonian, and he leads them through to a new edition with a statue of a young Isaiah Bradley and a plaque telling his story. Isaiah embraces Sam tearfully. It's a really beautiful, emotional scene. And then we go back to Louisiana, where a community celebration for Sam is taking place. We end the episode with Bucky and Sam looking into the ocean and walking off together. And we see a new title card at the end that reads Captain America and the Winter Soldier, finally confirming, if there was any doubt left, that Sam Wilson is now Captain America in the MCU. We do get another mid-credits scene where we see Sharon receiving her pardon and a job offer back in her old position in intelligence. I'm not sure if S.H.I.E.L.D. is still around at this point, but they say that there's probably a position open at her old job. After this, we see her get on the phone with someone telling them to start setting up buyers for government secrets and tech, so it looks like she's really Breaking Bad for probably the remainder of her time in the MCU. So I really like this episode. Like I said, it was basically just an extended fight scene through most of it, but I liked it. I thought it was kind of fun. It's always fun to watch super soldiers just kick the crap out of each other. I actually found myself rooting for John Walker. He wasn't going power hungry in this one. He was just trying to, get revenge or get justice for his dead friend. I think it would be cool to see U.S. Agent in the rest of the MCU, and I'm interested to see how he's going to be used going forward. Is he going to show up in movies? Is he going to stay mostly to TV side? I think it'll be fun to see how this unfolds. Sharon's reveal as a power broker, I kind of saw coming. I think most of us did, but I still think it works. If anybody, unless it was going to be a brand new character, it would have to be her, the Contessa. But I think this works because now she'll be working from inside the U.S. intelligence apparatus, and maybe we'll still get to see her team up with the Contessa, because it seems like she's got some plans of her own up her sleeve, and maybe we'll get to see what those are. And while I was sad that Bucky and Yori's friendship is most likely over, it was good to see him actually make amends, and it was good to see Sam and Bucky as friends also. I really hope we get to see more adventures with them, and I think we will, as it's been recently revealed that Captain America 4 is in the works with showrunner Malcolm Spellman at the helm. So hopefully a lot more Captain America and Winter Soldier and Sam and Bucky antics coming in the future. So that does it for the last breakdown of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It was kind of a short one, but like I said, a lot of fight scene throughout most of it. So unless you want to play-by-play on punches thrown, then we weren't going to have a lot in this episode. A lot more towards the end, some nice reveals. I'm not sure what lies in store for us next as, MCU fans and as a channel. But you can stay in the loop by following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course on YouTube, all as Non-Toxic Nerd. Of course, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe this video. Special thanks to Brad for our music. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.